Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Good evening and welcome to today's edition of the On Air Daily News Hour. I'm Naima Latif, your host, and we are excited because we've got some citizens that are taking action about something that they believe should happen to commemorate someone who has been a historical figure that has changed lives and made a difference. Renaming a street. Well, we featured in this edition of the On Air Daily News how the community of Chicago proposes to rename the street Cottage Grove, which is 800 East and runs from many streets north and south. They propose to rename it after Malcolm X, the very prolific freedom fighter, one who inspired many and shaped lives with his example, but was certainly a controversial figure. Well, one of the outstanding writers in the On Air Daily News gave us an insight on a community meeting that was held. And this community meeting was an organizing effort to gather support needed for the passing of legislation that would enable this to happen. And he says the community proposes to rename Cottage Grove after Malcolm X. In the name of Malcolm X, the historic community meeting occurred, and this was by Lofton and Minari. It was a rather mild and clear evening at Tuesday, May 19th, 2026, when a raucous collective of community social activists, political partisans, civic pundits, cultural nationalists, Rastafarians, academics, intellectuals, religious clergy, media, business types, men and women, youth, street groups, armchair researchers, and to even curious everyday citizens all assembled at the Kenwood Oakland Community Organization base of operations on South Cottage Grove near Bronzeville. May 19th being the birth date of Malcolm X, El Haj Malik El Shabazz was the august occasion and the celebration that night. And he goes on to say it was coincided with a grassroots groundswell honoring the slain leader with a long overdue public recognition by way of a municipal tribute. That tribute surrounds increasing discussions on the naming of a Chicago street in homage of his memory. coming that faithful night, uh, that coming out that faithful night were several generations of Black folks just about filling the sizable hall of the neighborhood center. Facilitated by Ron Carter, publisher and editor of the Chicago Street Journal newspaper, in conjunction with the Flaming Crescent Society and its founder, Salim Abdul Khalik, Carter admitted, "This is an uphill battle. There are at least 8 wards along which Cottage Grove runs, and we intend to reach out to our alder persons and businesses in the district and wards that run along Cottage Grove." So this is going to be a monumental task, but a task that those who gathered are willing to take the time and make it happen. So joining us on our live line today is the publisher of Chicago Street Carter, the Chicago Street Journal, none other than Ron Carter. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, it is my pleasure. It's been a long time since we have connected. I'm glad this connection has happened along with the purpose of being on your program.
Yes, well, I'm excited because this is going to be a major controversy, but it gives a chance for a lot of young people who may not have really appreciated and learned the story of Malcolm X to learn more about his life, his legacy, and what he means to so many across this nation and around the world. So tell us what went into the decision to name Cottage Grove after Malcolm X. Why Cottage Grove?
Well, Cottage Grove, first of all, its namesake is just that, is that it was a cottage on 33rd Street, in which it's, back in the days, if some people can recall, the transportation, the buses ran by electricity. And Cottage Grove, it was a grove, a cottage, where these trains met up at around 33rd Street. And so that is where the name Cottage Grove came from. It was a cottage, where the buses or the trains met at. So it's a street that definitely have a historical significance to the Black community. It definitely, in the days, it was very strong in its entertainment and its movement. And it also still have a history, with the Nation of Islam, to the point that I think back in the 60s, the Nation of Islam was getting ready to develop businesses starting at 83rd, going all the way south. If some people can recall, they had a grocery store on the corner of 83rd in Cottage called the Your Supermarket.
I remember.
And they were building businesses along that strip. That was, some time ago. But the thing is that the street do not have a real significant meaning, to the community that it represents. So we were in Gary, Indiana, maybe about 3 years ago. And they had a street named after Malcolm X.
Oh.
And Malcolm X's daughter attended that program. So I was there, and it just kind of dawned to me, if Jerry can do it, why not Chicago?
Yes.
And so, but going back to why Cottage Grove is significantly, it is through the Black community. It has a little bit of Hyde Park. It has some of the Pullman area, the North Pullman area, back on 115th Street, going on 111th Street, going south. It goes all the way to from 115th Street. It travels something like in a dirt road that goes all the way to Argyle Gardens on 130th Street.
Oh, wow.
So it's it's still a vibrant type of street that can have some identity to the Black community, and directly it would not have no opposition to other ethnics of the city of Chicago. There are some portions of other ethnics that does represent the street as far as businesses are concerned, but for the most part, it has that significant impact for the people that not only live on Cottage, but also that travel through it on a daily basis. So it is somewhat of the heart of the Black community. And we wanted to, every year we do celebrate the life and legacy of Malcolm X. However, we thought that we need to do more than just on May 19th. Yes, his words and his inspiration is a continuously evolving in today's world. We did a Q&A of Malcolm X in the Chicago Street Journal. It was a mock Q&A where the research was done on some of his speeches, and we related the question to some of his quotes of the past. And we see how his quotes and speeches of the past relate to our present day status, even coming from the president. Malcolm was definitely known as that Black nationalist, but he did open the door to other people, and that he did say that we as Americans have to come together. He wasn't that socialist. He wasn't that separatist that people looked at him. He just looked at we have to build our base, in order to be a part of the greater America that it's supposed to be.
So from what you've seen, most of Cottage Grove is the Black community, the majority of that street, which extends way, I didn't know it went all the way to Argyle Gardens.
Yeah, it's a dirt road from 115th Street to 130th, right in the smack, stopping at Argyle Gardens.
So you're looking at the entire length of Cottage Grove, all of it being renamed after Malcolm X.
We're not looking at no honorary street. This is a proposed action to extend it as a full street name change, not merely an ordinary designation, honorary designation.
Yeah, there is a difference, definitely.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So, but when we, as you indicated in your opening, it was surprisingly good representation on May 19th of, I would think to say that of all the community organizers of Chicago, it seemed as though it was at least maybe about one third of them represented in that room from the west side as well, from the suburbs. We wasn't expecting, I wasn't expecting, I normally do a little body count before the meeting, which I thought maybe it was going to be a good 25 people would be present. But it turned out that at least 85 people showed up out of nowhere. And that was not no big promotion. We did have some announcements on the radio We did have some social media type of outlet, but the presence of the organizers within the room was very outstanding, and very committed to making this happen.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be quite a movement. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'd like to ask a bit about the process, because we've had some street renamings before. So what are some of the things that have to happen before this becomes an actuality and we see the name Malcolm X on what used to be the street sign of Cottage Grove? So yeah, let's visualize that. So we'll be right back after this quick break. We want you all to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We're talking about renaming Cottage Grove after Malcolm X. So let's greet our global family, and then we'll be right back. So stay with us.
We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom.
In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network called 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you. Yes, we do want to talk to you, and we want you to talk to us too. And right now we're talking to Ron Carter, who is the publisher of the Chicago Street Journal and one of those who has spearheaded a drive to rename the major street in Chicago, Cottage Grove, after Malcolm X. This is a street that is 800 East in Chicago, going from I believe it starts on the, does it start on the north side, or
33rd Street?
It starts at 33rd Street South. So 33rd Street South all the way to 137th.
130th.
130th. So 30th to 130th. So this is a long running street, and citizens have gathered to propose to honor the late Malcolm X, the historic Malcolm X, the world-renowned Malcolm X, after to have it officially renamed after him, and to replace the name Cottage Grove, which doesn't seem to be attached to any particular person or history that we need to preserve. Now, I remember that, I think it was South Park. It used to be what is now Dr. Martin Luther King Drive.
Correct.
And that was a battle, but the citizens got it renamed. And it was during a time there was a lot of emotion around the assassination of Dr. King, riots and all kinds of things. But ultimately, there was enough emotion, enough consensus, enough feeling among the people. And again, South Park didn't have any particular historic significance. So that street was renamed in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. And I've been to Atlanta and several other cities where they have a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive or street or whatever. So there have been several streets. Now, other than Indiana, are you aware of any other cities that, other than Gary, that have renamed the street after Malcolm X? Like, is there one in New York or somewhere where he frequented?
You know, you would be surprised.
Really?
For one is the city of Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
They have renamed a street after Malcolm X. You know, they just did not name the street. You know, the city of Dallas Department of Transportation is doing a formal engineering quarter study for Malcolm X Boulevard. And when they're doing so, it's not just renaming the street, they are doing the infrastructure to honor Malcolm X in Dallas. You have in California, there is a street in San Jose, in San Francisco, and in Berkeley, California, there's currently a legal status on this holiday where on Malcolm X birthday, it's a legal holiday where the city government is closed as well as there's no schools. Then there's the District of Columbus. Chicago is kind of behind the times in doing this. You know, even as far as the state of Illinois has declared Malcolm X Day by state senator, former state senator Jacqueline Collins, where the state of Illinois have declared May 19th as an official holiday for the state.
Wow.
Naturally, we know that New York has had its Malcolm X Day along with Malcolm X Street. Ohio, Malcolm X Day is celebrated. In Oregon, Malcolm X Day is marked as a peaceful demonstration and celebration. And then you have even Iran overseas.
Wow.
They have declared the Islamic Republic of Iran has issued a commemorative postage stamp on Malcolm X for the Universal Day of Struggle Against Racial Discrimination.
Wow.
So it's not just in the United States, but, you know, throughout the world that Malcolm X is honored. So, yes, Chicago is a little bit behind the times based on other states and cities in the United States. And then again, talking about Iran.
In the world.
So, yeah. Yes. So that's where we have to somewhat step up to the plate. And again, at the meeting on May 19th, people came for that particular purpose.
Wow. Yeah, you know, because Malcolm was a global figure. And as you pointed out, others have already honored him. So Chicago, which is supposed to be a progressive city, you know, we need to catch up with the rest of the world in honoring this great man. Yes.
And you know, as I am in a pattern of talking to strangers walking down the street, you know, at the gas station, I will see some folks and I say, "What do you think about renaming Cottage Grove Malcolm X?" And people spontaneously said yes.
Wow.
Just, you know, from different ages, from the youth, you know, when I say the youth, you know, teenagers, all the way to elderly, yes, you know, so people are definitely for it. It's just a matter of the process of moving forward on it. We have talked to 2 automatic officers, the 20th Ward and Alderman Taylor. And then, matter of fact, we even talked to the 8th Ward. And we talked to the 7th Ward, which is Alderman Mitchell. He is the transportation chairman of the city council. So those automatic officers are somewhat reluctant to jump on it. You know, there was a difference. I think that when Alderman David Moore was with a committee of people that changed DuSable, well, not changed Lakeshore Drive, but recalled it DuSable Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah.
Right. Initially, my understanding is that they wanted to be DuSable Drive only on the south side. But
so what is it now? DuSable Lakeshore Drive or something like that? So they still sort of have Lakeshore Drive in the name.
Oh yeah. So you know that Lakeshore Drive is still there, but as you know, in the news reports, the weather report, the traffic report, they definitely say DuSable. And you know, even in your navigator, when you're on your GPS, the indication is DuSable Lakeshore Drive.
Oh, well, that's good. That's a victory.
Yeah, you know, and then at the same time, the Congress was changed to. My brain just slipped. My brain just slipped for Congress. Ida B. Wells.
Oh, right, yeah, Ida B. Wells. It was named after Ida B. Wells. Yeah. So I remember that as well. And each of these renamings, I mean, it actually ended up being kind of like a citizens movement, and aldermen ultimately signed on to it. So what is the process? Does a particular alderman have to introduce it? Do all of them have to agree? Does it have to be unanimous, or is it just a simple majority? What is the process of getting that change to happen?
Well, initially it would have to be now it can go two ways. You know, citizens can introduce an ordinance to the city council without an alderman. You know, citizens can do that. However, it's a longer process. It's good to have a sponsor of an alderman to do so. And upon the alderman sponsoring it, it would go to the Transportation Committee, which Alderman Mitchell is the chair of. And once that committee, in favor of it, it will send it to the different departments of the city of Chicago, such as the Department of Planning, Department of Streets and Sanitation. There's about 5 different departments that it will go to, and then it will go back to that committee, and that committee will neither say yes or no. You know, if they say yes, then it would go to the city, to the whole city council, where the city council will have to vote on it, and naturally, that is getting 26 votes. We did hear from one of the committee members that they have been in communications with the mayor's office, and we don't have an official position, but it was kind of noted that the mayor would be in favor of it. However, it definitely would have to come from a sponsor of the city council. But yet, without the city council or having a sponsor, it can also be a referendum to be put on the ballot. And upon that happening, it doesn't make any difference what an alderman says. If the people of those particular wards vote yes on a referendum, then it will have to be done automatically.
So if it's done by a referendum, it wouldn't be a citywide referendum. It would just be those affected wards where that street goes to. Is that how it works? Okay, well, that's a possibility. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll look at how some of the elected officials have responded so far, and who among them may be willing to put their name on a proposed bill to make that happen. So we'll be right back after this next break. We want you all to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We're talking to Ron Carter, who is the spearheading force behind the renaming of Cottage Grove after Malcolm X. We'll be right back. So stay with us.
Welcome to Master Force with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live on Facebook and YouTube on the Female Solution page, as we dive into powerful topics designed to assist you in mastering your life force. Our conversations feature a diverse lineup of experts, all dedicated to your growth. Tune in weekly to discover new ways to elevate your spirit and raise your vibration. And remember, we are ascending.
Great day. It's your girl Asada here to introduce a new female solution show called Asada Says. That's right. Every month we're going to talk about everything I am, from cryptocurrency and financial security to good health and parenting strategies. Come on and talk with me every Tuesday morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And let's do that thing the way Asada says it should be done. See you then. Peace, right here on the Female Solution.
And we are back. You are watching the Female Solution, and this is the on-air daily news hour. We're right here every Wednesday evening, and tonight we're talking to Chicago Street Journal publisher Ron Carter. And he has organized a group of enthusiastic proponents for the renaming of Cottage Grove after Malcolm X. So understand the meetings have been building momentum, and you've got all the name brand organizers in the city. Understand that Reverend Al Sampson was there, among others, and so many who have been historically part of the movement and are now willing to put forth their energy to make this happen. And yes. So now we know that Malcolm was controversial. There were many who were afraid of him in his time, afraid of his bold speech, afraid of his no nonsense stand when it came to he was clear that he was not so much violent, but definitely not for allowing the brutality that was perpetrated on so many Black people to go unaddressed.
Correct, and yes,
that frightened people. But as you pointed out, he really was known worldwide as an intelligent, very humble man, and very
funny. Very funny. He was comical.
Yes, had a sense of humor.
Yes, very much so.
Yes, and was highly respected worldwide. And the fact that we see overseas he's been honored lets us know that this is something Chicago should be doing. So now, what ties did he have to Chicago historically that might make this another city that would seek to name a street after him? Were there activities that he did here? Was he connected with the communities here and some of his programs? What information do you have regarding his connection?
Know that he was selected here in Chicago by Elijah Muhammad to be the national spokesperson. That happened here in Chicago. He did travel to Chicago many times. And the question was, as you just made, what do Malcolm X have to do with Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what did George Washington have to do with Chicago?
Yeah, we got a Washington Street.
Yeah, what do many names got to do. What do Jefferson or Randolph have to do with Chicago? Its national impact has contributed to many things in Chicago, is what we're celebrating and what we're honoring. Yes, there was his in and out of Chicago. Did he do for Chicago what he did for New York? But one thing that Malcolm did do that was not fulfilled to his fulfillment is that he had that business direction of which created what Elijah Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, did in creating those stores along Cottage Grove. So his inspiration when he formed the African-American, it escapes me, Afro-American organization, it was about business. When Chicago Street Journal formed Black Wall Street Chicago, it was done in honor of Malcolm X because he laid the foundation that we need to start forming businesses in our own community before it was too late. So it's similar to, if I can use the term of the Black Panther Party, that yes, they had, we had Fred Hampton here, we had the Panthers here, but it was a growth of Malcolm X the same way it was a growth from Oakland, California. And so what we're doing is continuing that legacy through Black Wall Street, Chicago, that, there was many people before him. There was Marcus Garvey. There was the Black Wall Street of Tulsa, Oklahoma. There was many before him that talked the language, but his language came at a time when it resonated, and as it's still resonating as of today.
Yes. Well, as you pointed out, so much of his philosophy, the whole do for self philosophy of the nation and all of the pushing toward Black economic independence and entrepreneurship, which launched a lot of businesses and inspired a lot of people to go into business. And just us understanding about circulating our money within our communities, so much of that philosophy was influenced by Malcolm X and by what the nation was doing with its bean pies and other products.
Yeah, and at that time it was called Muhammad Speaks, which was created by Malcolm X.
Yes. And that newspaper, I've had friends that said, look, I put my children through college selling that newspaper. So that was a business in itself. And a lot of people learned so much from the articles that were written because there was no fear when it came to putting out news. And so much of some of the suppressed acts of violence that were happening at the hands of police, they would be exposed in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. And a lot of other papers had to kind of follow suit when it came to reporting what was happening in our communities as a result of that paper. So it had a great impact. And like you say, Malcolm was the one that got that particular news organ started. And Chicago, it has an impact with the growth of the nation and even the impact of Malcolm on organizations such as the Black Panther Party.
Yeah, so he had planted many seeds that still resonate to us today. When he talked about starting businesses before it's too late in your own community, there is legislation that was created in the 80s, we call the EB-5, which foreigners paid the United States something like $1.5 million to come into underserved communities. in these so-called underserved communities at that time during the late 70s and the 80s with Black communities. So we turn around, and as Malcolm said, you're going to turn around one day if you don't start these businesses. You're going to find it's going to be too late. Other people are going to be running the businesses and taking that money from your community and taking it to theirs and make your community a slum. So that's a reality back then that Malcolm taught that we see in what's happening today. Yes, we have many organizations and networking, but opposed to networking, we got to work the net.
You got to work the net.
Right.
Absolutely.
Opposed to just networking. So we are pretty excited about moving forward on this. We did every alderman or the person that touches Cottage Grove have got notice of what we are proposing. We have been in communication with 3 aldermen, our persons, the 8th Ward, the 20th Ward, and the 7th Ward. Representatives, not directly to the alderperson themselves, but we're looking at the 8th Ward. Representatives say, well, why don't you just do an honorary street? Pick a few streets and do the honorary. And, the response was, no, we don't want no honorary.
No, we want the whole thing.
That was the same thing with Alderman Taylor's office. Well, what about an honorary street? And say, no, we want the designation for the whole street. Yeah. And then from the 7th Ward, Alderman Mitchell, this office indicated that they kind of was off it. He was saying that no, you have to go through the process. I say, well, that process was not necessarily done as far as getting petitions from each prospective ward. The city council moved on DuSable Drive and Ida B. Wells without any petition. So the aldermen can do it.
They can if they want to. I think what it is, there's the fear of if we have that conversation, then we have to talk about what Malcolm X's philosophy was, which frightened a lot of people, whites as well, but not just whites, some Black people. They were afraid because he was unafraid. He was bold, and some of them are uncomfortable with having the conversations about the truths that he spoke. But we have to have those conversations because this is still America, and we're still facing the problems that need to be eradicated. So it's not going to go away if we don't talk about it. So
you said it very well. Is to be able to have those conversations. Yes, Malcolm did change his position on many things after he left from Mecca, but at the same time, he was getting into the economics of the community. And he did speak the words that really resonate today. He talked about his life as a pimp, as a hustler, as a dope man, as a burglar.
Yeah.
And, he understood that evil that he was, in his words, he indicated, yes, he was an evil soul. But that also is an example that don't give up on our youth.
Yeah, now that's a good message. And I think that's what he really symbolizes. Don't give up on our youth. You might have had a rough start and you might have gone through some things and made some mistakes, but look at the greatness that you represent once you become enlightened, once you gain knowledge, once you get the kind of encouragement that you need. So we're going to take another break. But before we go to break, out of all of the aldermen that are, connected to this street, is there any that you feel is bold and fearless enough to be the one to put forth this as a proposal to the entire city council? What are your thoughts?
Naima.
I mean, just based on what you've experienced, some of you've seen, some that, character-wise, do you have any that you hope might be fearless enough to do this?
You use that word fearless. Gosh. Ouch.
Well, that's really what it is. Who ain't scared?
You're right. That is the proper word, but it's still a strong word. No one has stepped up. They all have got the information of what we're proposing, but at this particular time, no one has said, yay, count me in as a sponsor.
Oh, okay.
That hasn't happened yet.
Well, we'll have to keep working on it. Well, we'll be right back with more with On Air Daily News. And let's take a look at how this might impact what is expected to be an increase in our international tourism. And how would people see a Malcolm X Street? So we'll be right back after this last break, so you all just stay with us.
Literacy is freedom, and we have a literacy crisis. Children should learn to read from pre-K to 3rd grade. They should practice reading from 4th to 6th grade, and they should read to learn beginning in 7th grade and continuing through 4th grade. This video is sponsored by Rico Nance and Chemistry Steak and Brunch House in Hyde Park, Chicago.
Leaders of nonprofits empowering worlds. Let's go.
But the vision that God gave me, I felt that it was time for me to step out and work on the vision that God gave me.
We need look no further. We have a unique voice. We have a unique talent pool.
And we are back. You are watching the On Air Daily News Hour. And I'm your host, Naim Latif. Our guest is Ron Carter, who is the publisher of the Chicago Street Journal. And he is spearheading a drive to rename Cottage Grove after Malcolm X. This is monumental because it evokes so many emotions. Now, we know that the Obama Center is scheduled to open. This is going to be opening on June 19th, a great big gala celebration. And, we know that former President Barack Obama is going to be here and his family and, other dignitaries and all of that. So Chicago is expecting to increase its South Side tourism as a result of this Obama Center. And that, I'm sure, figures into the politics of naming a South Side street after a historical figure such as Malcolm X. However, there are people who will admittedly say that they were influenced by Malcolm and President Barack Obama. He had his time as learning how to be an organizer, and there isn't any way possible. Matter of fact, he's out there in Altgeld Gardens where, part of the street exists. So there isn't any way a person in these times, in this generation, was not in some way influenced by Malcolm X. How do you think that the international community may view the renaming or the naming of a street after Malcolm X? As you said, he had international stature. and he means certain things to certain people. How do you think that will impact the impression people have of Chicago in renaming this street?
Chicago has the reputation of a strong Black influence politically. I recall a photograph of Barack Obama sitting at a desk with, in the back of him was I think that picture was maybe about 3 feet by 2 feet on the wall, sitting on the wall over Barack Obama. I don't know exactly where his head totally is now, but when you're doing community organizing, a Black community organizing, you have to identify with Malcolm X. Internationally, I think that it will give Chicago a sense of identity, just as it gave a sense of identity of New York City. I believe that it will, a lot of times, when I travel and some people travel, you say, where's the Black neighborhood at? Take me to the hood.
Yeah, yeah.
So, that's normally what I do, and I think some people do when they go to a city that they first go to. Take me to the hood. I want to see the hood.
Yeah, where's the
and
hood?
I believe that will be the sentiment of Malcolm X Avenue, is that I want to go down Malcolm X Avenue. But we have to take in consideration the same thing that the city of Dallas did. It did not only name Malcolm X Boulevard, but it also did a quarter study to determine recommendations of strategies and improvements that the city of Dallas can use to improve the safety and mobility of that quarter of Malcolm X Avenue, or Boulevard, I think is what it's called. And so the city of Chicago will have to have that same responsibility of looking at what we can do to that street to honor it, as far as tourism is concerned and as far as the residents concerned. Yes, the street now is more of a commercial street. It does not have probably from 33rd Street to 130th. It may represent maybe about 30% residential, and then the rest is commercial as far as businesses are concerned. So it will give a more identity to not just the naming of Malcolm X Avenue, but also to say, what can we do to enlighten it? And even if you look at one particular corner of 79th and Cottage, is basically a hangout, so to speak. That liquor store is gone, but the presence of it, when people hang out, they will have a different attitude. So it is a street that will have to be paid more attention to the infrastructure of it, not only to people that visit Chicago, but for the residents to drive and pass through that street to look up and see that sign. It gives a sense of identity. Yes, there is that controversial part of Malcolm that people raise their eyebrows, but you have to look at the total makeup of the man up to the time that he passed, and his understanding. So yes, Chicago, I believe, will have a more of an identity, a progression with that particular name. Chicago do not have that 51% of residents as it did back in 1980s. We're about 1/3 of the population now, but it still has that presence of a progressive type of city. Even if we take in consideration the Obama library, Cottage Grove is really right down the street from it. So people coming to Chicago and they see that name Malcolm X, yeah, they're gonna want to travel. So they want to see what's the make of it, of this street called Malcolm X Avenue. And so the community is going to have to meet that demand that the tourism is expecting, you know. So yeah, there is a long-term strategy that have to be taken into consideration in naming it. So it's not just being happy with the name change, but what is the cultural and the significance of the street as well.
So do you think that by it being renamed, that might make it more attractive for businesses to open up there? Does it make it more marketability, being able to list that as a business address? Is it maybe more marketable for tourists if there are other kinds of institutions or edifices or something that even pays tribute to Malcolm X along what we hope would be Malcolm X Street or Avenue? Could that possibly add to it being another tourist attraction? Because Cottage Grove isn't that far from Stony Island, where the Obama Center is located. So could that possibly add to the attraction, add to the construction?
It's going to have to be, mainly because, again, when we look at King Drive, it's basically a residential street.
Yes.
So there, you know, you have some spots of stores on King Drive, but, you know, overall, it's residential. It's a main street. It's a main thoroughpath in Chicago. But when you look at the potential of a Malcolm X Avenue replacing Cottage Grove, you have to take in consideration the commercial development of that particular street. You have to look at, someone have to take advantage of the name itself. It's similar to when we formed Black Wall Street on 75th Street.
Yes.
That was done in 2008, 2009, in which the state of Illinois passed a resolution naming 75th Street the Black Wall Street District. And that was done in 2008, 2009. And just last year and this year, is by Black on 75th Street.
Wow.
So it took time to develop that identity the same way it would take time with a Malcolm X Avenue. What is the infrastructure, the commercial development that we have to do to enhance Malcolm X Avenue?
Yeah, well, let's claim it, Malcolm X Avenue. Well, we're out of time now, but I'm looking forward to the next. Now, when do you have another meeting scheduled for the community to attend and begin the strategy?
We're going to have our committee meeting on Mondays. People definitely can reach out based on they want to take part. I can be reached at different numbers than what that I'm on now, which is 312-848-9836. That is a number where, upon you want to take part of it, we definitely were looking for people that are a part of that street. You know, looking at the 4th Ward, the 5th Ward, the 6th Ward, the 8th Ward, and the 9th Ward. We definitely want those people to be a part of it because they are in those particular wards. So yes, we're going to be having committee meetings.
And when and where are they? What time? What place? Is it going to be the same?
We're going to be having a committee meeting this coming Monday at 6 o'clock. The location have not been determined. It will be on Malcolm X Avenue. Again, I can be reached at 312-848-9836 in order to get the location for 6 o'clock this coming Monday. And
all right,
there,
we'll post it in on our daily news as well as soon as you get the location, so people can make sure they come. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who want to attend to help make this happen. So it'll be somewhere on Cottage Grove, soon to be Malcolm X Avenue.
You got it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And perhaps we will see you at the meeting.
You got it.
And
thank you again.
Thank you so much. And thank all of you all for joining us. And come on back tomorrow. Of course, there's Mushim Suk with Master Force. And of course, we always have so many daily fabulous hosts. So join us every day right here on the Female Solution Global Broadcast. And until next time, continue to shine your light. We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, zhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jaref. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.